Good morning, everyone. We're about to start. So, welcome to the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Coalition Team meeting. I am your facilitator, Alicia Shavers with Alabama A&M University Small Farms Research Center. Here online, we have our partners that are part of the coalition: USDA, Rural Development, Ms. Diane Jones, USDA, Farm Service Agency, Ms. Shanique Bowman Green, USDA, Farm Service Agency, Ms. Jana Davis, USDA, Farm Service Agency, Ms. Javier Aries. We also have USDA. Okay, pardon me. And I think that's all our USDA people. I want to make sure I acknowledge you all. And our partners, Alabama Crawford Extension System, Tuskegee University, and our most infamous partner, Fort Valley State University, Mr. Terrence Wilford. So we're going to go ahead and begin. And our first speaker is Ms. Bowman Green. She's going to touch bases on a CFAP program.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shanique Bowman Green, and I'm with Farm Service Agency in Montgomery. I'm the key program specialist over the Conservation Price Support Division here in Montgomery. And today I just want to speak with you about the new program that they rolled out to assist our farmers and our ranchers, those that were affected by COVID-19. What they did, they introduced a new program, USDA, and it's called our Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, or CFAP. And that acronym is CFAP. I thought they were going to have slides up, but I don't see any slides.
Ms. Bowen, can you hold on for one moment? I think we do have the slides.
Okay.
Let me pull up the slides. Mr. Wilford, can you pull up those slides? That was for Ms. Cassandra Seawright.
I think they're going to be slides that Javier and Jana provided.
Okay. Let me make sure.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Would you like for me to go ahead and proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Basically, this program, it's called our Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, or the CFAP program. And as you can see, it provides direct assistance to our producers that were impacted by COVID-19. This sign-up period for this program began May 26th of this year, and it will go through August 28th of 2020. And the elder producers are new and current producers of dairy, wool, our non-specialty crops, our livestock producers, and our specialty crops. It talks about our dairy producers. Our dairy producers are those producers that produce milk between the months of, or during the months of January, February, and March of 2020. And that milk was dumped during those months. So for those dairy producers that produced milk and their milk had to be dumped because they could not sell it for whatever reason, between the months of January, February, and March, those are eligible dairy producers. The next slide just talk about non-specialty crops. Those producers that are eligible for those non-specialty crops are producers that have a risk in the crops for our malted barley, the canola, the corn, the upland cotton, your millet, your oats, your grain sorghum, soybeans, sunflower, your wheat, and that's the durum wheat and your hard red spring winter wheat, and wool. And this is wool from sheep that's graded and non-graded. I know we have people that ask about other animals that may be eligible, but sheep is the only one that's eligible as of today. It goes into talking about the livestock, the eligible livestock. And your livestock, your eligible livestock, you have your feeder cattle that's weighing less than 600 pounds, your fetal cattle that weighing 600 pounds or more. Then you have your slaughter cattle, that's your fed cattle, and then your mature cattle for slaughter, and all other cattle. You have your pigs and hogs, and your lambs and yearlings, and those are sheep that's less than 2 years old. The next slide actually talks about your eligibility for those livestock, and those are for livestock producers who own livestock on January 15th, and they sold them between January the 15th and April 15th of 2020. Their offsprings that were born from January 15th inventory, they're also eligible. So that's any offspring that was born before April 15th, 2020 from that same inventory is eligible. And they also, those producers, they also look at the highest livestock inventory that was owned between April 26th and May 14th of 2020. And livestock that is no longer used for dairy production, that is considered part of the livestock and entered into that beef cattle market, they're eligible as well. I'm not gonna go through that list of specialty crops, but
Ms. Green, we lost you. Ms. Green, we lost you. We can't hear you. Ms. Green, we can't, we have lost you, Ms. Green. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, Ms. Green. Ms. Davis, can you, Ms. Davis or Mr. Herrera, can you finish up for Ms. Green? We have lost Ms. Green.
I will try my best. I'm not an expert or very knowledgeable in this program, but I believe she was stopping at just the eligible specialty crops. So yes, that goes from almonds, apples, artichokes, celery. It goes to mushrooms, sweet potatoes. So anything listed on this slide is an eligible specialty crop that will receive CFAP assistance. So these eligible crops are from January 15th through April the 15th, and they fall into 3 different categories to be eligible. That will be the sole crops, crops that were delivered and are unpaid, and then crops that were never delivered. For additional information, you can go to www.farmers.gov, call your local FSA office, and also call the CFAP hotline at 1-877-508-8364. And they are available from 7:30 a.m. Eastern to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And they're a call center that can help you. It will funnel through the information. So once you get to the local FSA office, it'll be a quicker process for you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Thank you.
What we're about to do is change slides. Ms. Davis is going to present on behalf of USDA. Ms. Davis and Mr. Javier is going to present on behalf of USDA Farm Service Agency Loan Program, and she will introduce herself, and her co-presenter will introduce themselves and their location, and they'll be sharing their screen as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Javier Arenas here in North Alabama. I'm a farm loan officer for the north section of the state. And then we have Janizuela Davis, with she's the acting chief right now for the state. And she's going to be presenting the lower half of the presentation. So um, let's go into the next slide. So we are going to talk to you about what we do, who we are, and how we can help you farm, get started, and expand, right? So uh, please write down your questions for the end. We have a Q&A section for that purpose at the end. But we're here to try to help farmers, beginning farmers, minorities, and women farmers. And this is very important regulation to us. We're not here to compete with the private sector. So we're the public sector. So if you could get commercial credit, then you're able to farm commercially. If you can't, then we step in and help those farmers in need. So we are under the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Farm Service Agency. That's who we are. So next slide. All right, so we're gonna go into the different loans that we have. We have basically two branches, direct loans and guaranteed loans. So we're gonna go over each one of them and then touch on the emergency loans that we have. So next slide. All right, so within the direct farm operating loans, that loan is for operating expenses. So basically, everything that you need to run that operation successfully. It goes up to 400,000. You don't have to go to the limit. You could go as low as you want or need, but you could buy livestock, equipment, fertilizers, refinance your tractors, your trailers, and then you could even use it for loan closing, borrowed cost. We have a borrowed training program as well that it's required, so you can use it for that too. So next slide. Okay, this is kind of the important information that most people want to know about the operating loans. They go for 7 years. For this type of loan, we require a 1-year managerial experience. So you have to be farming for a year or helping somebody else manage their farm for a year. And then this one has a higher collateral ratio than the other loans. And you will see the beginning farmer loans, the micro loan, what we call it, you will see its collateral ratio and its requirements is different. So next slide. Okay, so this one is the loan to be able to purchase land with. This is the farm ownership loan. It goes up to 600,000. Again, you don't have to go to the limit, but this one will help you buy the farm, land basically, and then build. Usually we build chicken houses, but you could build a barn, you could build and then buy the property. You could also pay closing costs with this one. So next slide, please. Okay, so this is important for this type of loan. It goes all the way up to 40 years. If you cash flow at 30, we'll put it at 30. We'll help you out in a sense that you don't have to pay that interest for the rest of the 10 years. This one requires 3 years of managerial experience. So this one is kind of our top loan. This loan is what you get when you start to go up that ladder. So from the beginning farmer loans all the way to the operating loan, and then you go and buy that property, you have that 3 years of experience. Remember, 3 years is the minimum. We say that the beginning farmers are anybody that's been farming for 10 years or less. So 3 years is just, it's a beginning farmer still, but we need that requirement to be able to do this kind of loan. It has also a higher collateral ratio than the other loans, that the beginning farmer loan. So, all right, next slide. Okay, so this is the beginning farmer loans that everybody talks about. This is the micro loan. It goes for 7 years. It limits at 50,000, so it's a small loan. That's why we call it micro. You don't require experience for this one, so it's a starter loan, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So whatever we buy, tractors, equipment, livestock, we take as security. We put a lien on it. That's it. We don't take anything else. Okay, next slide. All right, so that loan is the regular microloan operating loan. This one, we have a micro to purchase land as well. In case your property, the one you're trying to buy, is under 50,000. So this one could go up to 25 years, same 3 years because you're buying land, but it's a 1-to-1 collateral ratio. It stays with microloan 1-to-1, so we don't take extra security. We don't take properties. We don't take your home or anything else. So this one doesn't require an appraisal, which is way quicker than requiring an appraisal. So it's a quicker loan, kind of faster loan. We don't have to verify for your non-farm income. Although if we need it to cash flow, we will have to do that. And then if you've done your youth loans, that will help you get the work towards those 3 years. But you're welcome to contact us and let us know, talk to us, and then we'll guide you through the process and make sure you have the 3 years, you have the requirements, help you out. So, okay, next slide, please. Okay. So now that was the direct kind of side of it. That's direct. I like to tell people it's directly from us, from USDA, Washington to you. So that's the direct loan. Guaranteed goes through the private sector, goes through your regular agricultural lenders, and then we do the guarantee with them. So it's kind of a participation loan. So it could be a participation, it could be a straight guaranteed. So, but it goes through the private sector. They also have a way to do farm ownership loans or operating loans. The good thing about this guaranteed loan, if it goes straight guaranteed through the private sector, they could refinance debt that we can't with the direct loan, like land. And then they could do all the operating loan, like livestock, equipment, and all that good stuff to run your operation. But that's going through the private sector. Next slide. Okay, so they have a limit, a higher limit of 1.7 million. So this is your big loans, your chicken houses. So this one, it's again going through the private sector. So we're going to kind of evaluate the private sector, and we could give them a 95% guaranteed. And then this is kind of important. It's their interest rate. It's not our interest rate. So you have to keep that in mind. It's still going kind of through USDA's backing the loan, but you're going through the private sector, if that makes sense. So next slide. Okay, so then we have the emergency loans. This one goes up to 500,000, and it's for natural disasters. This is when you really need help to get back on your feet. So tornado, flood, drought, things like that. We'll guide you through the process. We need to make sure we assess the losses and physical loss and all that to make sure we pay out the right amount, and then the insurance company, what they pay out. So just talk to us and we'll guide you through the process, give you the application, and help you if you have gone through a natural disaster that you need help with. So next slide. All right, so you could use this emergency loan to pay family living expenses, for example. You could kind of replace your crop and restore it and get back on your feet, and then refinance non-real estate assets as well. So, you know, it's a good loan to kind of get you back on your feet. Um, but then, you know, we have to make sure the insurance company, what they're going to pay, what we're going to pay, and then try to get you to 100% back on the farm. So, okay, so let's move on. Emergency loans, rates, terms, and requirements. Kind of the same thing we did with the other loans, but this one could go up to 7 years on the operating side, 20 years on real estate, and then it's always 1% interest rate higher than your regular operating loans that we do. And we'll go into that in the next slides. The requirement for this loan, again, is calculating the losses, production and physical, and we'll help you through it. We have a lot of forms that you can fill out to kind of get us to the right number. But depending on the amount that you're going to request, all the way up to 500,000, we require 1 or 2 letters from lenders, so we could actually provide that service and give you that loan. So next slide. Okay, so just to kind of summarize the whole thing really quick on the terms. To buy land, direct and guarantee, you could go up to 40. The direct microloan to buy land with, you could go 25, and that's under 50,000. Direct guarantee farm operating loan, you could go 7, and then the micro operating is also 7. And then on the emergency loan, it depends on what you need it for, and it will go as the life of the security. So if it's chicken houses, you know, 15 years or whatever the life of the security is at that moment. Okay, next slide. All right, so these are our interest rates. As you can see, they're pretty good. It's 1.375 for operating, 2.25 for buying land, and then emergency loans is always 1 over the operating, so it's 2.375 right now. Every month it goes up and down, so every month it changes, but once we can approve your loan, we'll lock it, and then if it goes up or down, we'll, you know, if it goes down, we'll give you that one, or if it goes up, we keep the one we locked in when we approve the loan. So it's, you know, it's a good deal. So next slide. Okay, so we go back to credit elsewhere. This is a really important requirement. We have to make sure that we don't compete with the private sector, take business away from them. We're here to kind of help farmers get back on their feet, and the ones that can't farm, get them to farm, but we're not here to compete with the private sector. So we do a credit analysis once we get all your documentation, and when we see your balance sheet and your income and expense, and we tally that up together, we'll be able to see if you could be placed with the private sector, with your local lenders. If you are, then we're obligated to contact the local lender and try to place you. If they can't help you, then we step in and help you out. So, okay, next slide. All right, so right here, I'm gonna turn it over to Jana, and then she'll introduce herself and explain a little bit about the application process and the steps you need to follow with all the forms that we have. So, all right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenna Davis from the Farm Service Agency. I work in the Montgomery office as a farm loan specialist. So thank you, Javier, for all that wonderful information. So where do we start once we know what type of loan we want? And that will be with the complete application. So we have quite a bit of forms certain applications, the microloan application does have a lot less information that you need to submit. But I'm going to go over each form, and then I'll try to do a mock microloan application just to show you, how easy it is to apply for it. So one of the first forms that you will turn in is the FSA 2001, and that is going to be the request for direct loan assistance. That's going to be what you want to purchase, what you want to use the loan funds for, and then how much you want to borrow. It also includes your general information and a signature so that we can process your loan. So one of the forms that you saw on this slide is the 3-year financial history. This will be completed by the applicant. It will be your most recent 3 years. So currently right now we're accepting 2019, 2018, and 2017. And you will either fill and sign the FSA 2002, or you can provide your tax returns for those years, or you can also provide a different format, which could be your QuickBooks or your written hand records. Another thing that is required for a complete application is the 3-year production history. This will again be 2019, 18, and 17, and it will be information about what did you produce that year. So if you are a cattle farmer, how many cows did you have? How many heifers were born and raised? And then same thing with the steers, and what did you sell? So you can either provide us with the FSA 2003 form, or you can provide handwritten records or records in a different format. So other things that are required is the FSA 2004. This form allows us to obtain and verify information such as your non-farm income, as well as debt verification from debts that do not show up on your credit report that you have given us, your lenders. And then the FSA 2005 goes along with that form as well. You will submit a list of all your lenders that you currently do business with, so we know which debts we need to verify. So another form that you would have to submit is the FSA 2006, and that is a list of all the property that you're currently leasing and that you currently own. Next form is the FSA 2037. It is the Farm Business Plan Worksheet Balance Sheet. This will give us a picture of where your operation is at the time that you apply. So we ask for your farm assets and liabilities and your personal assets and liabilities. This form can be filled out on the FSA 2037, or you can provide your own format. So for the farm assets and liabilities, we ask for the current, which would be up to 1 year of something that you can cash out within 1 year or that you will pay within 1 year. Intermediate would be those 1 to 7 year loans or the assets that have a useful life of 1 to 7 years. And then long term would probably be mostly your real estate and buildings that would have a useful life of 7 to 40 years, as well as the liabilities. Then we require an FSA 2038. This is projected and actual income and expenses worksheet. This is where you will give FSA your plan for production. So that will include your planned crop or livestock income, the expenses that go along with that, and then all non-operating. So will include your family living. It'll also include your non-farm debt payments, your non-farm income, and then your non-farm expense. So those are the forms that are required. Depending on your situation, we will need additional items to complete your application review, and that will be the verification of non-farm income if you have a job off the farm, the verification of debt, and then the verification of assets. And with all of our direct loan applications, you will submit a credit report fee, and that will be collected so that we can pull a credit report. And currently the amount will be $16 for an individual, $24.50 for joint married couples applying together, and then a $50 fee for corporations. So one thing I wanted to show you is if you don't know where you want to start or you're trying to figure out what exactly you need to come into the office and ask for, we have a farm loan discovery tool that is on our farmers.gov website. And I'm going to try to show this. All right. Let me get the screen to share the correct thing. So are you seeing the website that I pulled up, or?
Not yet.
So I'm going to go ahead and share that then.
Yep, there we go.
Okay, so on this website, it's called the Farm Loan Discovery Tool. You can get to it by just simply going to farmers.gov and going to fund, and you'll see the link on the website, or you can use the link from the PowerPoint that will be in the slides. So it asks a basic question like, are you looking for a farm loan? And are you looking to fund a youth project? And you'll probably say no for that unless you are with FSA or 4-H. And what are you looking to fund? So it asks if you're looking for a land purchase or a construction project, or if you're looking to fund equipment, seed, livestock, or both. And for this purpose, I'll just choose the operating. And then it'll ask you about how much money are you looking to borrow. And with that, I would choose the $50,000 or less. And then it asks you where your farm is located. So I'm just going to choose Monroeville for the example. And you click view loan options, and it will generate a application quick guide so that you can better understand how to apply and prepare for your farm service agency visit. If you go down, it will give you the information of the service center that you will be able to call to get more information and to apply for your farm loan. And then it gives you a tailored application quick guide that can help you through the process of applying for a farm loan. So it has the table of contents and explains how you can use this guide. It gives you a journey of the farm loan process from application to approval. So it kind of gives you an idea of what you should expect when you apply for your loan. It also gives you what the loan officer will be assisting you with and a link to find your service center locator. And it gives a brief fact sheet about microloans, the eligibility requirements for microloans, and the required forms as well. And like I was explaining earlier, all the additional documentation that may be needed is also included in this. And you can use it as a checklist to prepare for your visit. And then it gives you lots more links on, farmers.gov, finding your local service center. It also has a link for new farmers to help make your business plan, and starting with the program side to register your farm number if you currently own a farm and you're looking to get started with FSA. Right. So now I'm going to share. Go back to the PowerPoint. So do you guys have any questions?
This is Alicia Shavers with Alabama A&M University. I'll kick off the discussion. So if I were an farmer, what should I bring to your office to start the process?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
If I was a new farmer, what should I start? How should I start? What should I bring to your office to start the process?
So if you're a new farmer, one of the things that you can bring to the office is yourself, and we can make an appointment with you and go through our requirements, kind of see what loan would fit you best to talk to you about, our different loan options. And then if you would like to apply, we would probably start with the microloan, because a beginning farmer usually would qualify for the microloan application because of the years of experience that are required for it. And we'll help you through that process, and then we'll get you over the program side so we can get you in the system as an operator.
If I could jump in for a minute. Yeah, so you also, the best thing you could do is apply. So you will have 30 days to submit your missing information. So if you're missing anything, tax returns, credit report fee, whatever, you have 30 days, and we'll send you letters 20 days in, and then for the last 10 days. So you have plenty of time to submit your missing documentation. Just come in and apply. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Great presentation, you guys. Now, I know we'll probably have some additional questions later. Are there any questions from our panel? So thank you, Javier. Thank you, Ms. Davis. And thank you, Ms. Bowen Green.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So right now we're going to go to our farmer's testimony, and we're going to start off with Mr. Daryl Johnson. And this is how we're going to do it's going to be more so like an interview style. So our audience can kind of get to know the farmers in their community. So, Mr. Johnson, how are you doing this morning?
Fine, how are you doing? And greetings to all.
Good, good. So, Mr. Johnson, tell us a little bit about your farm operation.
Starting off, I started row cropping a little bit and having a little bit of livestock. We was growing soybeans, corn, mostly, down in Lauderdale County, Alabama, North Alabama, this region here. We farmed close to about 200 acres. Basically, started when I was a kid, and I've been keeping it going for the last 20-some years. So it's fairly interesting, good work, enjoy doing it.
Very good, Mr. Johnson. Now, let's talk about, how did you hear about the FSA loan program?
Well, years ago, when I initially started farming and listening to some of your panel there, it kind of rung several bells there as they were speaking of the process, So basically, some of the old farmers that was in my area, they told me, well, you need to go sign up and be an operator of that farm because the land didn't belong to me, So basically, that's what I done. I went and signed up with the FSA as an operator of those different farms. And once I became the operator, then I could make decisions of what went on with the day-to-day operation of that farm. So basically, as I got more into the farming side of it, I began to receive correspondence from the FSA, like different letters telling me what program was provided for small and new farmers as myself. And as I inquired on those different type of things, I learned more. Sometimes it was a difficult process. I ain't gonna say it was all smooth and hunky-dory, but as I learned, because I was a fighter, I stayed in there with it, and I've done the necessary steps to get along.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. And I kind of feel like when you said that it was networking with fellow farmers, kind of getting that information about. So that says a lot about what's going on in the community and making sure everybody's passing along that information. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. So going back to that last comment you made about how was it working with FSA, I always tell farmers when I do consultations, it's a lot. When I was started off, it was a lot of paperwork. You definitely had to fill out a booklet back then. But just with your experience, how was it working with FSA? On
my first loan I ever, so I only done one loan. I ain't gonna say I done a bunch of loans here. That yes, one sir. Loan that I did do with FSA, I found the paperwork kind of overwhelming, you know what I mean? So I reached out to A&M University, the Small Farmers Outreach Program. And out of that assistance there, which was, woo, I never would have got there without them, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They laid it
Yes.
all out. They walked through the steps with me. And, you know, hey, took me on down that road. And, hey, it was like, once I got through with them, once they got through, I ain't gonna say I got through. Once they got through, it was just like, sign here. You know what I mean? So that was
Yes,
it
sir.
for me. Yeah, really.
Awesome, awesome. And it's so funny. Let me just give Dr. Chimbezi a definitely shout out. At that time, I was still a student at A&M. I was actually his biweekly student working for him when Mr. Johnson was working with Dr. Chimbezi to help him fill out the paperwork. And if those individuals that don't know Dr. Chimbezi, Dr. Duncan Chimbezi, he's the founder of the Farms Research Center located at Alabama A&M University. So yes, well, that's awesome, Mr. Johnson. Yes, indeed. I'm so glad. Even look before my presence, the A&M was able to assist. So thank you so much. And we want to thank FSA for actually giving you that loan, and you're applying, taking that extra step. Would you say the FSA loan was helpful with your farm operation?
Well, yes, it was because it allowed me to.
Go ahead.
Yes, it was because it allowed me to buy a piece of equipment that normally I wouldn't be able to afford, you know, in my day-to-day operation. What I asked was an equipment loan. I bought a tractor, a brand new tractor, as well as a planter to go along with that tractor. I had a couple of old tractors that I constantly was turning wrenches on, trying to keep them up and running. So once that allowed me, they gave me a one, say, 10 years of kind of no problems that I could farm, because I also work in the private industry, a second job, you know. So with that, then it allowed me to go out, do what I had to do, and, you know, and be on time. Even though sometimes, you know, the Lord don't bless you with a good year, you know, I don't have no irrigation to bring that water, but hey, you know, it was there for me, you know. So with that loan and equipment stood up for me, it made the operation very easy, and you know, I was compatible in what I was doing. You know, it's all a learning process. So you know, I tried to do my best.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awesome. So that does, I guess that definitely something FSA would like to hear, that it was helpful and it
Yeah.
able to sustain your farm operation. So
Yes.
to hear that. Got a question. How for, you know, with these filling out applications and so forth, we know it's a process. I think sometimes when I always tell farmers, when you're applying for loans, particularly with the government, you know, they ask a lot of questions, and sometimes the process can be long and tedious, but in the end it's so much worth it. So just with your experience, how was the process? A long process, or was it
Well,
talking about 6 months to a year?
but during that timeline, I think it probably took about 4 months at that time, maybe 4 to 5 months. I think I started the process around maybe June, July. And I think I may have got the loan roughly around about December of that year, you know. A lot of documentation that I had to continue back and forth, you know. But once I got all that done, you know, showing what you call them, you know, I guess the main thing is back then was showing that your profit and loss sheet, it really, you know, was kind of hard to come up with all those numbers from prior years of what you may have done, because if you don't keep good records, then you don't have that information to provide. The show up and down in farming is kind of hard in that business. If you take a farmer like myself, I may use a lot of my income from my other job versus going out asking lenders, because most times lenders are not going to loan, the private sector is not going to loan you the money that you need to try to be successful in this, you know. So that's basically the hard part there, you know, just getting that documentation together to present to the FSA. Well, once, they work with you on what you need, and, once you give them that, and you may have to sign a few different waivers on different type things, you're not a government work. So, once you do that thing, then you move on forward with it.
Okay, awesome. Also, so from what I gather, just what I always say, some takeaways. Definitely, if you're a beginning farmer or if you're a seasonal farmer, making sure your records are up to par. And making sure your records are up to par, making sure that you're not looking for it to be a month or 2 months for you to get this loan. It is going to be a process.
Yes.
And Mr. Javier with USDA FSA wanted to step in as well. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he's completely right. It's a process that we have to go through. It's a lot of documentation that we have to go through. So make sure, and this is what I tell everybody, if you have crops that you need to plant, make sure to plan ahead. It is going to take a little bit. It's for us, we could take up to 60 days to complete the process. So, and that's for the quicker loans, like the operating loans for crops and things like that. But if you need it, just plan ahead and apply for 2-3 months in advance, just to make sure that we could go over the whole documentation. Remember, we have to contact the banks and verify debts and assets and all that good stuff. So I just want to jump in and say that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Javier. Okay. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Takeaways for a farmer. How should farmers we talked about networking, definitely talking to your fellow neighbors and fellow farmers. We talk about, we'll say, good record keeping, making sure you have your records in order. What are some additional takeaways that, you would like to extend to a farmer?
You have to be, I guess, my thing, you got to can't be discouraged. You're going to have to be strong. It's not easy, you know what I mean? And first of all, you're going to have to pray to God. You know what I'm saying? If he ain't on your side, nobody's going to be on your side when it comes to farming, you know what I mean? Because you don't know what he's going to allow, you to do this year. You know what I mean? Every year is not the same. And as you learn new tricks. You learn things on your own, just tilling the soil, you know what I mean? And all the other variables that go along with it, like I say, it's some good experiences and some bad experience over these 20 years I have had. And I tend to learn, but I always go back and pray that the next year would be better. And that's basically all I can give you, you know what I mean? Pray.
Yes, sir. You have it. Look, you have definitely said a mouthful. All is true. All is true. And just to add to that, when I think about what you said, as far as like just over that trajectory of that timeline, where they say you have good years and you have not so good years, and you have to definitely keep pushing, And one last question, Mr. Johnson. How was it working with Alabama A&M Small Farms Research Center?
But hey, like I say, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. Like I say, Dr. Chimbisi, he helped me get across that little threshold that I was worried about doing that day, and working with him over the years still, he can't, whatever he need to ask me to do, he know he got somebody that would do it for him. You follow what I'm saying? And along with the rest of the A&M family, work with Dr. Severs up at the agriculture, at the resource center up there. I raised hogs myself. He called me a year or so ago and said he needed a hog to run some tests on. I said, well, hey, it's yours. I'll bring him to you. You follow what I'm saying? So yes, it's been great. You know what I mean? And then when he got to running his tests, he said, you come get your hog. I said, no, you just gonna kill him. Do whatever you want to do with him. He's yours. but hey, it's good. It's good, It is very good.
Okay. Well, Mr. Johnson, on behalf of Alabama A&M University, and I think the rest of the world, we want to thank you for being a farmer in these hard times. It ain't easy, but look, all of us got to eat. So
That's right. That's right.
we appreciate your service to the community and definitely to the world. Thank you again, Mr. Johnson.
All right. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. So we have one more farmer's testimony, Mr. Joe Cornelius. Mr. Joe? Mr.
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, Mr. Joe. How are you?
Oh, doing well.
Very good, very good. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna start off a little bit different with you. What's your connection with Alabama A&M University?
Well, I'm a 1977 graduate of Alabama A&M University in agribusiness education. I taught in the high schools. I did some workshops for Alabama A&M in the ag department. I did most of my teaching in Tuscaloosa County, where I taught animal science, soil science, plant science, welding,
Yes.
carpentry. And in my final years, I worked with Shelton State Community College, did administrative services for Shelton State Community College.
Okay. Well, welcome, Mr. Joe, and welcome, fellow alumni. I am a two-time alumni myself. So welcome, sir. I welcome you to this webinar, welcome you to sharing, and welcome you as a fellow alumni.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. What I want to do, I'm going to set it up pretty much the same way I set it up with Mr. Johnson. So tell me a little history about your farm operation.
Okay, our farm operation, I'm working on about the third generation. My granddad, my daddy, and of course myself. I had no intentions of doing any farming. Of course, I was working in the classroom, but when my father passed away, it kind of like the baton get passed to you. You can pick it up and run with it, or you can just let it lay on the ground. So basically, that's where I got started. Of course, I worked on the farm coming up, and we did all kinds of tasks on the farm coming up, and it just seemed like it was always a lot of work and very little pay, but it paid the bills and kept a lot of food on the table. You couldn't eat all you raised. But as far as the finance concerned, wasn't a whole lot of that. But that work ethic, it was there. And of course, we shared that with students all up and down the line as I was teaching in the high schools and middle schools. So all of that kind of stay with you.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, Mr. Joe, got a question for you. How did you hear about the USDA Farm Service Agency Loan Program?
Of course, at A&M, we had courses in extension, and we learned about the various programs that assisted farmers. And of course, as we basically got out of school, we knew about those agencies and we knew where the offices were. We found out that the best thing to do, locate those offices, having a good plan of what it is that the farmer or myself wanted to do, find out what resources they had that would assist me in doing what I wanted to do. We knew that the various offices, they had more than what I could ever ask for, but I need to make sure that I stay focused, because they come up with new programs all the time, and then there's some people kind of try to chase the money wagon, and you can't do that. Have a good plan, work your plan, and find out what resources. Go to them and ask, what is that you all have that you all can assist me in doing whatever it is I want to do. And that's the way I approached it. Once I got what I needed with my good planning process from Alabama A&M University, we were able to work with the various agencies, USDA, Extension, and others as well.
Awesome. Okay, so I know you've been working with USDA, the offices, and FSA for a minute now, but let me ask you this: how was it working with them?
Well, the process was a good one and a thorough one, and I think it was an important process because I'm sure the agencies have to be aware. There are a lot of people perhaps get an ear where they can find some money at and not ready. So it's important to know what it is that you want to do and stick with it. The process teaches fine tuning. You really have to know what it is you want, be able to get it down on paper. Of course, as you're doing your taxes, that's a good record there. And of course, it's not a real hard process. But as it relates to what I wanted to get, I actually worked with the equipment dealers, and I stayed on them day after day till I got their prices down. Just to share this a little bit with you.
Yes, sir.
I stayed on John Deere so long, checking with them and working on to get their prices down until they had misplaced the records that they gave me. And then when I went back, he said, what was the last price I gave Mr. Joe? And then I told him what the price was. I said, now I know you all have to make some money, but this is what I need. Let's go with this. So once the farmer find out what it is that you need, how much, then you can go ahead on and proceed with the process of filling out the paperwork. And that mini loan, micro loan, it was quite sufficient for what I needed to do at the time.
Very good, sir. Very good. And just curious, with your applying for this micro loan, this FSA loan, how long did it take you to get the loan? Well, the process. How long did it take you to get to the loan? To get the loan?
Well, within a few weeks.
Okay.
Because that was some of the things that they taught us at A&M, that you take time, fill out everything. Don't leave anything blank. Make sure you fill in all your information. Don't try to do it at one day. It's kind of a lengthy process, but within a couple of weeks, you should be able to take your time, work out one thing at a time. Sometimes people try to look at the whole application and then go and do something at the front and skip through the back. Nope. You work line by line, item by item. Once you finish it, move on to the next. And that worked fine.
Yes, sir. Sir, what location are you? Where are you located, Joe?
I'm down in Hale County, down in the heart of the Black Belt.
Yes, sir.
And that's where our farm is. And of course, when I was doing my teaching in Tuscaloosa County, that was a pretty good drive, every day. But of course, by the farm being not too far away, it was workable. I spent a lot of weekends, kind of like a weekend warrior, on Saturdays, after school, and sometime after church on Sunday to get the job done.
Gotcha. Persistence.
Yes.
Yes, indeed, sir. I was just kind of taking note of what you were saying, and one of the things that kind of just stuck out for me is being able to negotiate, with your, not necessarily with your lender, but with the person you're buying equipment from or buying anything from. That ideal of building rapport, negotiation, those negotiation skills, and actually building upon them to get the job done. Can you think of any other takeaways that you can kind of give to a new farmer, beginning farmer, or even a seasonal farmer?
One of the major problems that a beginner farmer may have, the lack of experience, and many of them haven't spent any much time with someone who's doing the type of agriculture practices that they want to do. That will save a lot of time and effort and precious resources. You don't, in farming, whatever you're dealing with, you don't have funds to throw away. So you need a good plan. Get with someone who's doing a good job, what it is that they're doing, and don't spread yourself too thin.
Mm-hmm.
Have to watch that, and you have to really love what you're doing. In other words, find something else that you'd rather do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I hear you, Mr. Joe. Do you think you would apply for another loan with FSA in the near future or in the future?
Yes, I have about 2 years left on my loan, and it has been excellent. We like to make our payments early, within a couple of months of the time, and of course, it's always good to plan ahead. And of course, dealing with livestock. I basically kind of developed a market, a good niche in the market where I deal directly with a lot of farmers, meet them at the co-op and various meetings, because a small farmer, and once you take your livestock to this livestock market and bond, you're at the mercy of the buyer. So if I can cut the middleman out and go directly to some of the buyers, I don't need to sell 30 or 40 to one person, but if I can sell whatever I can to individual buyers, therefore I'm still in the driver's seat, and then all that I can't sell, then I'll take those to the market. And it's also a good idea to let the auctioning agents give them a note as to what I have done to the livestock to make them more marketable. Many times they're going to be shipped to different places. Make sure that they have all the shots and for different diseases and that sort of thing. Make sure that you pre-wean them, get them ready for wherever they're going. Because when you sell the calves, you don't want them hollering for the mamas and all that kind of stuff. The buyers know that. They know more about the livestock than we do. So you have to precondition them, get them where they'll be able to eat and drink water and be relaxed, and then they're ready to move on. So all those kind of things will really help you out in the market.
Well, Mr. Joe, on behalf of Alabama A&M Small Farms Research Center and the world, we thank you for being a farmer and being an essential worker at this time of COVID-19. So thank you, Mr. Joe, for your service as well. Thank you, sir.
You are more welcome.
So What we're about to do, if there are any questions for all our panel, Ms. Bowen, Ms. Green, Bowen-Green, Ms. Davis, Mr. Javier, Mr. Johnson, as well as Mr. Joe, if there are any questions or any discussion. I know, for example, Ms. Bowman-Green, your computer kind of cut off on you. Do you have any additional information you just would like to share?
No, from my understanding, you guys completed the section that I was covering, so that was perfect. But yes, my computer went completely out. So I thank you guys again.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Bowling-Green, for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're so welcome. Mr. Javier, do you have any comments, discussion, questions, thoughts?
Not really. Just contact us, apply, and we'll guide you through the process.
Okay, thank you so much, Javier. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Davis, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or anything to discuss?
I don't, but I want to thank you guys for letting us join. And like Javier said, just give us a call and we'll help you through the process.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Daryl Johnson, sir, do you have any last words? Mr. Johnson? Oh, unmute. Unmute your phone, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, I got
There you go.
All right, thank you again. I think this has been very informative of everything I've heard today, and I appreciate you inviting me out to join this. This is well what you call them. And I think I will be going to see Mr. Javier in the near future.
Okay,
Hopefully he can help me. You know what I mean? I've spoke with him in the past. Seemed to be a very nice gentleman. But as again, thank you again, and everybody stay safe, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. I appreciate your time. Mr. Joe, any takeaways, sir?
Yeah. One of the things that we are doing to assist minority and disadvantaged farmers in our area, we have set up a 501c3 that we can do some educational things with our farmers to assist them in doing a better job. And in the process, I invite them out to the farm and show livestock to them so that I can get some sales with them as well. And also, they'll be able to get a better quality of animal. You're raising livestock, you need to know what type, because all breeds are not the same. When they advertise, well, Black Angus beef is what I raise. You don't, when you go to the store, they advertise Black Angus beef. So I want to make sure that our people produce good quality beef that the consumer just love to have, and those are some real good things to share. Also, it's a good idea. I even work with the farmers when we talk about pasture improvement. Livestock eat what's on the ground. It's real. The cheapest way to feed livestock is from grass. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the projects that I'm going to be working on this fall would be to develop a year-round grazing management practice so that we'll plant clovers and other legumes so that the cow will be in good a shape in the winter as they would be in the summer. But that requires a little bit of planning. I will be calling on Alabama A&M University to assist us with some grants. We need good grant writers who can write to what we really want to do. Ms. Chavez?
Well, thank you, Mr. Joe. Well, looking forward to us meeting meeting in person and discussing further. So looking forward to that discussion. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Joe. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Ms. Diane Jones for USDA Rural Development. Do you have any comments, suggestions, or discussion?
Yes, I would like to add to what Mr. Johnson just said. Rural Development does have a program when you're doing a program of training and technical assistance that falls under our RBDG grant. And it sounds like that's something he may want to consider, you know, when he starts to develop his project.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones. I appreciate that. So we'll definitely look into that and see how A&M can assist for sure. Thank you. Last but not least, my right-hand man, Mr. Terrence Wolford with Fort Valley State University. Let me make sure I let everyone know he's the technical part behind all the Zoom and getting people in the Zooming. So I would like to extend a thank you to you as well, Mr. Wilford. Thank you always for supporting us and joining the coalition, sir.
No, everything was great. Thank you.
Great, awesome. So without further ado, we're gonna end the webinar, but I always like to end with a quote. And for most of you all that know me, this is the quote on my email that I kind of always say my mantra that I live by. And it goes like this: if you don't go after what you want, you'll never have it. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you don't step forward, you're always in the same place, by Nora Roberts. So just think about that quote and see how it affects your life and what changes you need to make your life better. Thank you all for joining us today. Our next meeting will be held. We have a bonus webinar for next week. It's going to be on next Friday, June the 26th. We're going to have True Funds Financials located in Birmingham, Alabama, to discuss. They're going to be a lender for the COVID-19 loan program for a lot of farmers and small businesses. It'll be the same place, same time. If those that didn't get this email, we're actually on A&M University Small Farms Research Center Facebook, so you can actually go back and see yourselves live stream with this webinar, but join us again next week for our next webinar. So to all, stay safe, stay 6 feet apart from each other, and sanitize. Take care of everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.